So I'm going to continue on from the last program where if you looked at it, we had buttons and an image drawing on screen. So next thing I want to do is actually get that image moving on screen. So we're going to try and do some animation. So what I'm going to do, instead of drawing my Canadians logo at position 0, 0, I'm going to add an X and a Y variable. And I'm going to draw the bitmap at that particular location. I'm going to go to my main activity. I'm going to show you the most simplest way to do threading. Just like before, we can create a custom class that extends the thread class from Java. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go class my timer extends thread. And actually, full disclosure, there is a timer class that comes with java.lang.util that you can take a look at that basically does the same thing. You can set it to perform a particular function every so often. But since I've always used this in our examples from this year and last year, I'm going to continue using it, but you can look it up and you'll have a different way of doing things. Okay, so remember from last time we had our custom view. We just modified that custom view to have an X and a Y variable which controlled where our bitmap was drawing on screen. So what I can do is actually, and it would be better if I wrote a move function inside my custom view, but I'm going to say custom view.x is equal to custom view.x plus 2, and say custom view.y. Okay, now if this were one of the projects that we've done before, what we would need to do right now is tell our screen to repaint itself. So when we were using JFrames, we would say repaint here, and everything would just redraw, and then our image would start to move. There is no repaint in Android. What there is something called invalidate. And what invalidate does is it tells the Android operating system that this screen is no longer valid, you need to repaint it. So for all intents and purposes, invalidate does the same thing. Now, there's a catch here. So if we run our project, actually before we run our project, I forgot, I've shown my program how to make a timer. I haven't actually made one yet, so I'm going to go. Actually, I'll create it in here just to be on the safe side. Inside our constructor, I'll say t equals new. So let's actually create it, and then we'll go start to actually start our timer. So we've showed our program how to make a timer, created the timer object, t equals new my timer, and then we told the timer to start. Now, let's run it now. And when it finally does run, you'll notice my Montreal Canadiens logo isn't moving, and I've got this ominous message, thread error. So let's find out what that particular error means. Run it again. And let's see. Oh, I guess the error is not popping up. Either way, what's going on, and if you notice, if we get it to redraw, it's gone at this point. This is actually a design decision from Google and the developers that made Android, only one thread can access a view, and it's the thread that actually created the view in the first place. So the fact that we've created a new thread and we're trying to access it, and somewhere else, when this activity was started, a thread created this my view already. Android decided to stop race conditions and bad things that happen when you have multiple threads accessing a visual resource. They decided to not allow that. And if you play around long enough, you should be able to find resources on Google, or you should get an error popping up saying, you can't invalidate from a different thread. Only the original thread can invalidate this view. So our way around that is, instead of saying invalidate or repaint, what we're going to do is post invalidate. And the difference between invalidate and post invalidate, invalidate, we're telling that view that it's not invalid anymore directly, and the Android operating system then comes in and redraws it. What post invalidate does is we post a message to the original thread that owns that view, and we say, this view is invalid, so you need to invalidate it so that the next time Android checks it, it'll know to redraw. Subtle difference, a little bit of advanced concepts there, but if we go post invalidate, let's see what our project looks like now when we run it. And there's our project. We've got our image successfully moving. Now, once again, that's using a thread class, and I probably should have done a move function inside my my custom view and then had that bouncing around instead of going off the edge of the screen and never coming back. But that's a challenge that you can do. Now, using the thread class, since we've always done it this way, this is the way I decided to show you the first time. As I said, you can look up, there's actually a timer class. So you could go timer T, and then you'll notice there's an alt enter here, so you can go import class for java.util.timer. So you can Google java.util.timer and see how you use that, but basically it kind of works the same way as our custom thread. You can say creates an action event, and that action event we can call a particular function that we want to happen every so often. So that would be another way of doing it. Now, the Android way of accomplishing this would be to use something called a handler. So what a handler does is it posts messages to a particular thread to run it. Again, we're looking at 3 different ways of trying to basically accomplish this same thing. There are advantages to each. That's probably beyond the scope of this class right now. So you now know how to draw on your Android activity, and you know actually how to animate it.